What's up, YouTube? Bay Area Baller back again. This is the hottest new show on YouTube, 49ers Fired Up. And we got a good one planned for you today. And hope you're ready for it. I got to bring on my guest. I haven't talked to this guy in a while, so I'm excited to talk some ball. Let's get him on here. Sam, what's going down? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling great, Eric. Thanks for having me on. It's been a minute since I've talked Niners. I've been back at home for the summer, dealing with my own stuff. Haven't been in the podcasting game in a minute, I should say. But I'm really looking forward to coming on, talking some 49ers.
I'm going to call BS on that because I was watching you break down March Madness up at Syracuse because I know you're a Syracuse guy, and I was loving it. You're breaking down some Warriors. I felt like that was just like a month or two ago.
I mean, I think the last one I did was in June. I've kind of like taken the summer off, been working, traveling, doing all that stuff. But I mean, I love doing that stuff too. I'm happy to be back. I'll get back in the groove of things. We got some new things coming, so stay tuned. Make sure to follow me on Twitter down below at @the_Sam Corcoran. We got a lot of new stuff coming up soon. You guys will not want to miss it.
No doubt. Sam's a hell of a follow. And Sam, I want to get right into it because
let's do it.
We got to see some Trey Lance, and let's get right into this first topic.
The heated headlines.
Trey Lance looked really good versus Green Bay, but I want to ask you, how do you feel about his performance, and what's your general feel on Trey?
Yeah, so overall in the Green Bay game, you didn't really see much of him. He went 4 for 5. He had 1 rush attempt. So a very small sample size. But from the sample size we did see, obviously that Danny Gray touchdown capped it off with, I mean, that's 2 preseasons in a row. And I know that's not saying much, but where he's had like a throw that really wowed me. And
yeah, I was at that Chiefs game.
It was the Chiefs game, the one down Trent Sherfield.
Yeah.
That was the first glimpse of Trey Lance. Now we're getting the first glimpse of the Trey Lance era, the Trey Lance of the Trey Lance era now. And I think overall it was a very, very solid game for Trey Lance. I mean, again, small sample sized, but he looked pretty comfortable in the pocket. He was pretty accurate and read the field pretty well. Again, 4 for 5, that kind of goes to explain it. And I think those are my 2 concerns with Trey Lance: accuracy in reading the field well. I'll tell you right now, the Texans game I was at where he started 3 straight plays, he missed a wide receiver open, and one of those was a pick. He missed Juszczyk wide open. He missed Ayuk wide open. He missed Debo wide open. All 3 would have been touchdowns. Instead, it was 0 for 3 with a pick. And reading the field is something that I've always kind of seen. I just threw that up as an example, but reading the field has always been an issue for Trey Lance, as well as a bit of accuracy issues. I would say accuracy is good. He's a bit inconsistent with it, which is never a good sign. But this game, he read the field well. He looked accurate and consistent with that accuracy, which I think is a big thing. So overall, I think it was a pretty good performance. Again, it's preseason. That's not really saying much. I'm going to wait till week 1 to fully evaluate Trey Lance, but I think he will need some time. I don't think you're looking at a Mahomes type year, 2018 Mahomes type year, where he's sitting behind a guy and then comes and bursts onto the scene, wins MVP. I don't think you're looking at that time of year. I actually think, and we'll talk about this more later, but I think quarterback's going to be the only question mark on this roster that I have this year. And I know that's saying a lot with Trey Lance on this team, but let's be real. He hasn't played many games. He's still a bit raw. He needs to prove a bit more to me before I can give the full vote of confidence. But I think the sky's the limit right now.
I love that assessment. And it sounds like I think he can be an immediate upgrade potentially to what Jimmy Garoppolo has given us, right? Jimmy's relatively safe. He's good in the quick game, but I think Trey's just going to open up just a dynamic element to this offense, an explosive element. And yeah, there's going to be some growing pains, but I'm hoping the highs outweigh the lows. And that's why I think right up from the jump, he can be an upgrade, just a marginal upgrade, as a first-year starter to what we've been accustomed to Jimmy giving us. And that has me looking really optimistic at this team. But I love,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one thing that separates Trey Lance from Jimmy Garoppolo is that down the field, Trey Lance is a risk taker. Jimmy Garoppolo is not. And that's exactly why the 49ers took Trey Lance. I know people, for some reason, people were saying Jimmy Garoppolo is the biggest risk taker of all time down the field. Jimmy Garoppolo is just not good down the field. It's that simple. Trey Lance is good down the field. He'll take those risks, whether it be a risky pass. I saw it in training camp. He went over his shoulder. He threw back across the middle to Kittle. Fantastic throw. And most quarterbacks can't make that throw. You saw Brett Favre try to do that back in 2009, picked off. Don't make it to the Super Bowl. Trey Lance can do that.
No doubt. Why don't we get to the heated headline number 2? And it's Jimmy Ward, who was just named to the NFL Top 100. He's now hurt. And Sam, it's like a theme in the secondary right now. We got multiple injuries back there. You know, E-Man is out, Ward is out. Sounds like they're optimistic they'll get those 2 guys back by week 1. Correct me if you've been hearing anything different. But Jimmy Ward, they're not sure. So I want to know, Sam, what's your concern level with this secondary being banged up?
So first of all, we'll start with Charvarius Ward and Emmanuel Mosley. Just for week 1, it seems like they will be back. I'm not too concerned about them. I also think there's depth behind them a little bit. I know Ambry Thomas hasn't had the best camp, but I think from what I've seen of Ambry Thomas, I mean, it hasn't been the best camp, but at the day I was at, he locked up Deebo Samuel twice in the 1v1s. And that gave me a lot of hope. I know he hasn't had the best camp. I know he's on the bubble right now, but he finished the season off strong. And I don't want to talk about cornerback much more, but I think Ambry Thomas and Deommodore Lenoir can lock it up against the Bears and the Seahawks, who have 2 of the worst offenses in football. So I'm not too concerned about the cornerbacks. As for Jimmy Ward, it is a bit concerning that you have a severe hamstring injury at the age of 30, I believe he is. It's either 30 or 31. But he should be back by week 3. And I say week 3 because if he misses the Bears and the Seahawks, I don't really care too much. The 49ers should win those 2 games. And I think behind Jimmy Ward, you have Talanoa Hufanga, who I'm going to talk about later on this episode. All right. And I also think they said they're going to bring someone in. The guy I really want is Tashawn Gibson, a former Bear that would help us get some intel for week 1. Also great in coverage as a free safety. I think that's the guy you got to focus on right now.
He's Landon a vet. Collins, that dude is a vet. He's got to be kind of up there. He's got to be kind of up there. I mean, he was a good player in his heyday with the Browns, but that name was nowhere on my radar. But tell me more.
I think Tashawn Gibson, he's still pretty good in coverage. He had a solid season last year with the Bears. It wasn't that great. And yes, he is up there in age, but you're not looking for a guy who's going to be a long-term solution. You're just looking for a guy who's going to be there, maybe starting week 1. I don't really trust Tarvarius Moore or George Odom starting in that position. I think a guy like Tashawn Gibson is ready to start right away, great in coverage, which is something that replaces Jimmy Ward, that Jimmy Ward possesses, that is a lot of times unmatched by most safeties in the NFL. So I think he would be the best option. Excuse me. Landon Collins is also a good option, not as great in coverage, but he's still somewhat young. I feel like I want to say he came into the league like 2016, something like that.
I'm second round pick.
I'm kind of surprised why he's not on a roster right now. He's been solid throughout his career.
I mean,
in the NFL.
what I know about Landon Collins is that he's good in the run game, liability in coverage.
Oh, he's terrible in coverage.
Yeah.
Which is why I suggest Gibson rather than Landon Collins. But again, you're probably only going to need him for Chicago, Seattle, 2 offenses that aren't that good. If you need to sign Landon Collins, I guess you can do it, but I think Tashawn Gibson is my number 1 option there.
I like that. And honestly, in-house to fill in at free safety, I feel like Dante Johnson would be a legitimate option, but he's banged up too. He's got something going on.
Yeah, and I also just want to point out Dante Johnson, I think he's better suited as a nickelback than a safety. And I think you just keep him at nickelback. I don't want to mess around with him too much. He's been a liability for us in the past. I don't want him to be a liability again. I think he kind of found his place at nickelback, and we'll talk more about nickelback in a second. But I think right now I would rather keep Dante Johnson as a nickelback. And I'd rather start Tarvarius Moore over him. I think we can get someone better than Moore starting.
I'm not a Moore guy, and
I'm not a Moore guy either. But I think he's a better option than Dante Johnson.
I mean, what about George Odom?
No, what about George Odom has not looked good.
Okay.
I think the George Odom is going to be on this team solely for special teams. If he was not good on special teams, he would be the first guy. He would not be on this roster.
Hey, that's a strong take right there.
I do not think George Odom is that good as a safety. He is good as a special teamer, not as a safety.
I like that. And why don't we transition into nickel? Because, Sam Womack. Hold on. Let me get the banner up here. I got to get the banner up here, Sam.
Why not? He's taken the 49ers by storm.
Sam Womack, future defensive player of the year. Tell me what you saw from him. You know, I know you were at some camp, and what did you see from him in that game against the Packers?
I mean, he looked phenomenal in that game against the Packers. And I know a lot of 49ers fans that was kind of their first glance at him. I went to camp on the last day, but I know all the people before I went, who were the days before I went to camp, everyone was saying, oh, Womack's standing out. Womack stands out again. Womack stands out again. Not only is he good in coverage, he's good against the run. The day camp I was at, Ty Davis-Price had a really nice hole, nickel blitz. Womack stuffs him. Fantastic play by Womack during camp.
Because we know we ask a lot from our nickelbacks in terms of physicality, right? We're blitzing them.
Do that all.
K1. We're blitzing them. We're asking him to hold up in the run fits. And I like to hear that because I saw the coverage, right? Obviously, everybody saw the coverage in that Packers game. He was all over those receivers. Romeo Doubs, he was blanketed.
Yeah,
Amari Rodgers, dude, Womack ran that route. And just the fact that how he peaked to find that ball, I mean, that shows something. This kid, he could be special.
Oh, I think Womack is – I think right now the sky's the limit for Sam Womack. How good will he be? I think it's a bit too early to tell. Again, preseason, rookie year. I think you're going to have to wait till the regular season to see what's up. But overall, I think right now he is a lock to be the starting nickelback, and that can be – resembled by cutting Darqueze Dennard, which really surprised me, Eric. I thought Dennard was going to be on the 53-man roster as someone backing him up. I guess they want to give him an opportunity somewhere else as they don't really see him playing a role. But I also, the only other reason it surprised me is
I don't buy that, Sam. I'm sorry. If a guy is worthy of being on your team, you don't just cut him because we want to give you a better opportunity to get more
here's
playing
the thing
time
with that. I actually agree with you. I don't know why he's not on this team, but I think just like out of respect for him, just like making sure he gets a different help. That's what people were saying. I can kind of buy into that a little bit. Personally, if I was John Lynch, I wouldn't do that. I would keep Dennard. It could have been something else, but really
if he's worthy of being on the team, I'm not really that high on Dennard. I mean, we got him off a practice squad last year.
We did. But the only reason I said I was surprised is because he took all the first team reps until the final day of camp. That's when Womack stepped up and took over. So it was pretty surprising. The other reason it was surprising is there are many nickelbacks on this team behind Womack. You have Dante Johnson, who's been a liability at times, and you have Diamador Lenore, who hasn't really found his spot on the roster just yet. I think and by not finding his spot on the roster, I think, is he an outside corner? Is he a nickel? That's what I kind of mean by that. So I think it's a pretty surprising move. Maybe they'll do something else. I don't really know, but it seems like they have a full vote of confidence for Sam Womack, and I'm all for it.
I like it. And let me tell you something, Sam, that you probably don't know. I'm a bit higher on Diamador Lenore than most. I thought he should have been getting a shot in the nickel from the jump. And it's, he's been playing outside like exclusively. But now that his spot's opened up, I want to see Demo get some work in the slot and just see how it looks, because I think he has the capabilities. I mean, PFF called him the best tackling corner in that draft class a couple years ago.
They did, yeah.
So I think he can hold up in the physicality department. The coverage is kind of hit or miss, but I want to see Demo work. I mean, I'm sold on Womack. Nickel job is Womack's, but just in a backup role, I want to see Demo get some work in there.
Me too. I think Deommodore Lenoir, I think right now is, again, he's trying to find his place on the roster. I think you give him some reps at nickelback, see what he's about. He had a pretty good start to the season back in 2021. Why not try him at nickelback, see how that goes?
Yeah. Moving on. Oh, I like this next topic.
Me too.
I like this one. This is my guy. This is just the Danny Gray discussion. Sam, I was pounding the table before the draft. I put out a top 20 wide receiver video, right, where I ranked my top 20 guys. And Danny Gray cracked it at number 20. And that was super hot because PFF had him down in like the 30s, right? And when I watched
PFF,
the tape,
I'll be honest, PFF rankings they're a weird way, but anyways.
Yeah, just looking at their wide receiver rankings, they had him ranked down in the 30s. And when I got to his point on the list and I'm watching the tape, I drew an arrow up because I just saw this kid's dynamic speed. He's making plays all over the field. Actually, no, he wasn't making plays all over the field because he was lining up on the right side. At SMU, they had two really good receivers. They had Danny Gray lining up on the right side, and then they had what's the kid's name? He's on the Titans. He's fighting for a job.
I know who you're talking about. I forget his name too.
Yeah, it starts with an R. Now I gotta look it up, Sam. Otherwise, it's gonna piss me off. Reggie Roberson. Before I can get to Google, Reggie Roberson. They had Reggie on the left side, Danny on the right side. So I thought, I love the tape. He's explosive, dynamic. But is there a bit of a learning curve because SMU was only playing him one way? Well, hey, he caught that touchdown lined up on the left side. So I think he's adjusting just fine to that. And anyway, my rant is over. What do you think about Danny Gray and how do you feel about him?
Yeah, overall, Danny Gray has had a very up and down camp from what I've heard. He struggled at times, but it seems like he's kind of getting it together, taking that second gear, taking a different gear kind of. I think the three things that really separate him are he's probably the fastest receiver on this team. His yak ability is really good.
Guaranteed which is the fastest receiver on the team.
Oh, guaranteed, 100%.
Yeah.
Yak ability is great. That's a common theme within the Shanahan receivers. And you saw that in the Packers game, how he evaded the defensive back when he ran for the touchdown. Just running those routes and getting through those defenders. I think that's something that I love about Danny Gray right there. And one thing that really is undermined about Danny Gray, and I think he could be on the field a lot because of this, he's a pretty good blocker. And I don't think a lot of people see that. Danny Gray is a fantastic blocker. Especially for a guy with a low wingspan, of course. Like on the draft, on the scouting report, he said he had a small wingspan. For someone to have a small wingspan and be a pretty good blocker like Danny Gray is, that's always a good sign. So I think you're going to see him a lot on the field. You're still looking at a wide receiver 3 or 4, though. He's not going to surpass Ayuk. He's not going to surpass Deebo Samuel. Right now, his competition is Jennings and Ray McLeod, probably. But he's definitely going to be on this roster.
What I love about our wide receiver core, sorry to cut you off, Sam.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that we have all these different skill sets, right? Like Ray McLeod, I call him a souped-up version of Trent Taylor, right? Super shifty. Super shifty. He's got some more juice than Trent did, but he can do a lot of that stuff. Then you got your big slot, Juwan Jennings, right, who's physical and, he can be a threat in the red zone, although he's not having the best camp. But then you got Danny Gray, who's just a blazer. So the different skill sets, that's what I like. You can mix and match, play down and distance, whoever you think best suits you at this spot on the field, you put him in the game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking the exact same thing as you. It's really going to be a situational thing. I think you'll see Ayuk and Deebo on almost every snap of the game. And then Danny Gray, Ray McLeod, Juwan Jennings. I think you have 3 different types of receivers right there. And I think I think he's going to contribute for what the 49ers want this year. I don't have many big expectations for Danny Gray, but I think he's going to have a solid season and he's going to contribute what the 49ers want him to contribute. I think it's that simple.
I like that. And, I got the perfect transition into our next topic because one of my I'd had like 4 scorching hot takes last week, Sam. And it was like Ray would outgain Juwan Jennings for the year. And one of them, Danny Gray, averages over 16 yards per catch, which would have put him in the top 10 of the NFL last year. So that was one of my – and It looked pretty good after that Packers game. I think he's like doing like 50 yards a catch right now.
Yeah, I would honestly not be surprised if that happened. I think you're going to see a lot of deep balls for him. Yak ability. I would not be surprised if that happened. I don't expect to see Danny Gray get a lot of short bombs to him. I think you're going to look at a lot of long balls and a lot of yards after catch. You're not going to get those checkdowns or those slants to him.
Hey, well, that brings us into our next topic.
Scorching hot takes.
Yes, sir.
Sam, scorching hot takes. Do you got any scorching hot takes you want to share?
Yeah, why not? I got 2. And we just talked about Danny Gray, so let's stick with the offensive side of the ball. I think by the end of the year, Trey Sermon will be RB1 on this team.
Whoa.
Yes. There you go. And now let me explain. So,
To the no, yeah, to the no.
wow.
Sorry,
okay.
Sam. Let
me explain.
That one is too hot, Sam.
It's too hot. So let me explain.
RB1, Trey Sermon.
RB1. So let me
Okay.
explain. So first of all, I don't like using the term RB1 in the Shanahan system because he alternates every running back. But I think by RB1 I mean he's going to get the majority of the carries. Reason being, in camp, who's getting all the goal line work? Trey Sermon. And also, I think something you see in the Shanahan system is when guys start scoring touchdowns, they start to get all the reps. They start to take those reps in. They get that confidence boost from Kyle Shanahan. I think that's where Trey Sermon steps in. He's going to get the goal line carries from what it seems like. Then he's going to get the ball more, and it's going to work out just way. We saw this with Raheem Mostert. We saw this with Matt Breida. Seen it with Elijah Mitchell. Whenever they start scoring touchdowns, they start to get the ball more. It's a theme in the Shanahan system that's been going on for years. I think it's going to happen. Also, it feels like there's been a new RB1 every year. You've had Raheem Mostert step in, Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson, even 2020. I don't even know who our RB1 was because we were so hurt. Matt Breida was there, Carlos Hyde. There's always been a different RB1 every year. So overall, Trey Sermon's really impressed in camp. He's getting the goal line work. Oh, and Elijah Mitchell's also hurt. So he could take those reps away from him right now. That's what he's doing. Those reps that Elijah Mitchell would usually get are now going to Trey Sermon. So Trey Sermon's having more time to prove himself. So I think by the end of the year, Trey Sermon will be RB1. And you see a pattern with this where he's starting to creep into the injured guys' reps. That happened to Brandon Ayuk last year. Guys started taking his reps away when he got hurt and he got put in the doghouse for a bit. And now, is Elijah Mitchell going to be put in the doghouse? No. Is Elijah Mitchell going to have a good year? Probably yes. But I think Trey Sermon could have a better year than him.
I was not expecting that, Sam. But hey, I like to hear it. You know, I feel like I've been hearing some different stuff that on Sermon than that though in training camp. I'm hearing he's kind of toe tapping behind the line, and he's not getting downhill quite as much as they're wanting him to. Hey, I hope you're right because I like the draft pick out of Ohio State.
Yeah, I like it too.
I mean, I liked him. He looked pretty damn good, you know, running. I mean, Justin Fields probably helps open up some holes. And with all those, Ohio State pumps out wide receivers every year. They got first-round picks.
Oh, yeah. And this year now, the 49ers have 2 capable receivers. They have a dual-threat quarterback. Sound like Ohio State a little bit? I would not be surprised if you open up a bit more holes, especially with the offensive line this year, too, which has looked great in camp. I think the sky's the limit for Trey Sermon. Again, very hot take, but I think Trey Sermon, I just picked him up my fantasy team today. I had an extra spot for him. So I was like, why not? I think he's going to get a ton of carries. And I want to, the comment from Bryant Culp, I think Trey Sermon will be on this team this year. If anyone, I think Trey Sermon right now is a lock to make this team, honestly. If there's any running back out of our top 4 and that's Mitchell, Ty Davis-Price, Sermon, and Wilson. If there's anyone who wouldn't make the roster for a guy like maybe Jordan Mason or JaMychal Hasty, I would say it's Jeff Wilson. And I know it's really tough with that. I think those 4 all will make the roster because they need that veteran presence from Jeff Wilson. But I think Trey Sermon will be on this team, and I think he's going to have a much better bounce back year.
Emiliano, what's up? Thanks for stopping by. It says, plus Trey Sermon has hands. I have heard he's catching the ball well, whereas, Tyrion Davis-Price appears to be dropping everything. And
Yeah,
Lynn
apparently he has
Lynn's
not looked that
offense
good.
likes throwing it to its running backs. Hey, Anthony Lynn spent some time with Austin Eckler and with the Chargers. We know, hey, Herbert's checking a lot of balls down to Eckler. And, hey, I hope you're right on Sermon. Let me give you got another one, but let me give you my scorching hot take.
Yeah, I'll give it to you too.
Yeah. Let's. Oh yeah. I got
Scorching hot takes.
Let's hear it.
Hey Sam. The 49ers, they've been practicing this triple option, right? Grant put out the footage. They're running it in front of the media. And I think the triple option can be a transcendent wrinkle to the 49ers offense. Remember in 2008 when the Dolphins started whipping out the Wildcat?
Yeah,
they put Ronnie
took over
Brown
the
in there.
league.
Took the league by storm. My hot take is this triple option can be absolutely lethal. And let me tell you why. You got now just so. Hey, what's up, Rohan? We're talking about the triple option. I'm pumped up, Rohan. This triple option could take the league by storm. All right. You got Jeff Wilson next to you. You could hand it to him. Now you got Debo on the outside. You could pitch it to him. But Sam, you could fake it and just hit Danny Gray on a 50-yard post over the top. What are defenses going to do? They have to guard every blade of grass. If one defender takes one wrong step, it's going to be a chunk play. And no one runs it in the NFL. This is like some Army, Navy type offense. All right, Sam? But now you're doing it with NFL athletes. I don't think it's been done. I don't see anyone really running it like that. And Niners are practicing it. I think it could be a transcendent wrinkle.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say I've seen the triple option run a bit before by other teams. It not to the extent that the 49ers might run it, but I mean, overall, I think it will help the Niners a lot. I think it's going to confuse defenses a lot. And I think the play, it's a read option. You fake it to the running back. You get the ball. Then you kind of run right. Then Lance will kind of run right and then just flip it to the receiver. I think that could work out very well. And I think it's going to confuse a lot of defenses. Is it going to be transcendent? We'll have to see. I think it's going to help this offense a lot. And it's going to be a big advantage to the 49ers.
Yeah. But what I love, Sam, is you can fake it. And then now you're just running, you got your pass plays. It's a pass play. But the defense you're lined up in this pistol formation. It's easy to identify when Debo is back there behind Trey Lance and a running back is next to him. These linebackers, their brains got to be moving 100 miles a minute. And I think it's going to put them in a bind. And that's where, hey, you run fake it, you pull it, and then you take a shot down the seam to Danny Gray. And I'm really excited about it. Obviously Shanahan, you're not running this every down. I'm not saying that.
No, you can't run this every down because then defenses will figure it out. But once in a while, though, I think it's going to confuse defenses a lot.
Yeah. So that was my scorching hot take. Sam, you got one more for me?
I got one more. We got two offensive ones. Let's get a defensive one. We talked about Jimmy Ward's injury. The guy next to Jimmy Ward, Talanoa Hufanga. Jimmy Ward was on the top 100 list. Talanoa Hufanga is going to be there next year. He's going to be a Pro Bowler in 2022. Talanoa Hufanga. I am very high on this guy. And I think ever since he's been drafted, I've always been high on this guy. Other people have been lower. Going into this season, or I should say going into pre-draft, I should say, there were two things that really concerned me with Talanoa Hufanga. And that was his tackling technique, his coverage, and his route to the ball. He's improved at all three of those. He's really fixed his route to the ball ability, and I think you saw that a lot last year. He's also all over the place on the field. Every play I noticed Talanoa Hufanga everywhere. He's doing something. He's contributed every damn play, and that's exactly what you need. I compared him pre-draft to a poor man's Jamal Adams, and now he's really starting to look like the Jamal Adams. And this guy's really, he's starting on this team for a reason. The 49ers did not, there's a reason why Jaquaski Tartt is not on this team anymore. It's because Talanoa Hufanga has taken his spot. And I think I think he really impressed his rookie year. I know he didn't play that much, but overall, from what I saw from Hufanga, I loved it. And I think he's going to be one of the better safeties in this league by the end of the year. Is he going to be the best safety? No. I think you're looking at it's his second year. He hasn't started yet, but I think you're looking for a guy who's going to come out of nowhere for most people. I think he's really going to take over. And there's a ton of people are just like, oh, watch the film. He's not that good. Just do me a favor and shut the hell up while you can, because Talanoa Hufanga is about to prove you wrong.
Sam, I love it. I'm excited. I like Hufanga. I mean, not quite as much as you. And that hot take, man, I hope that thing comes true, because
I think it will.
I would love to. I mean, Jimmy Ward, Talanoa Hufanga, who's potential not all pro, maybe Pro Bowl caliber player.
He won't be an all pro this year. I don't think, I'm not going to go that high.
The all pro usually takes 2 or 3 years. You don't get reward for a great season and to be an all pro the first time you do it.
Yeah, you can't. If you're Talanoa Hufanga, you're not looking for an all pro, but a Pro Bowl, I think that's reasonable for Hufanga.
That's big time. I mean, when we drafted him coming out of USC and you put on the tape, I mean, the instincts just jump out at you, right? The way he would read a route and he could jump a route, get a pick. You know, he's physical in the run game. How about that hit in the Packers game? Dude, he lit that dude up.
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah.
And so I've broke down I didn't break down the film, but I posted film on Hufanga because he had 3 starts last year while Tartt was banged up, right? The first one was against the Bears.
I actually watched that one, and
Hufanga was lights out. He was phenomenal.
Great routes to the defenders, which is something that he struggled with at USC. He's fixed that. Also, just for notice, for the past 2 training camps, he's the first guy on the field. Coaches love that mentality. Yes. He's working his butt off to improve, to be the best safety in the NFL. And I think he's going to take a massive leap this year. Hufanga is the real deal. I'm telling you that right now.
No, I like it. And you got me pumped up. So anyway, like I said, I had broke down some film on Hufanga, and he was really good. He was so good against the Bears. The next game, who was it against? Was it the Cardinals?
Week 9 was the Cardinals, yeah.
He wasn't as good.
That was an overall terrible game, the Cardinals game for everyone.
Yeah, you know what? It was the Cardinals game because Jimmy Ward was out. And that's what also made me think, like, how much is that affecting Hufanga's play? Because Hufanga was not as good as he was in that Bears game. And then the third start was against the Rams, if I'm not mistaken. And I watched that film, and he was solid. So from the 3 starts, he had one. He was spectacular against the Bears. He's a man-to-man with Cole Kmet, and he locked him up. Cole Kmet didn't get an inch of separation on
and coverage is one of his weaknesses going into the NFL.
And he locked him up, Sam. Not an inch of separation. So,
and he's done that to Kittle on one-on-ones multiple times.
Interesting. You know, hey, if you're not the best athlete, see, this is the contrast, right? You look at Tarvarius Moore, and we can do pre-Achilles. He's this phenomenal athlete, but when you put on the tape, it doesn't pop, right? He's taking bad angles. You know, he's getting roasted in coverage. You can go back to the Super Bowl. Yeah, he caught the interception off a tip pass, but it's like Travis Kelce, dude. He had no chance defending Travis Kelce in the red zone. Pass interference, balls at the 1. I was pissed off. But then you look at Hufanga, who doesn't have those measurables or he doesn't have the speed, but the dude just has the instincts. He's a football player. I'll take guys like Talanoa Hufanga over just pure athletes. Sorry, Tarvarius, hope all the best, but I'm rolling with Huff.
Oh, 100%.
Big time. Let's see what we got next, Sam.
Those are all the
questions.
Hot burning questions. Let's do it.
Hey, this is a fired up theme show. We got some burning questions, Sam. And the first one I'm gonna hit you with. I think you already answered this one with your previous scorching hot take, because I'm asking you because I don't know who's going to be the number 2 back behind Mitchell? According to your hot take, I mean, I think you got to just go all in, right? It's Trey Sermon.
Yeah, 100% it's Trey Sermon. I think I will say, let me clarify that going into week 1, Elijah Mitchell will be RB1. I think that's just a given right there. Come season's end, I think Trey Sermon will be that guy. Now, again, as I said, he's getting all the goal line work. He's made massive improvements throughout camp. And Shanahan loves mixing it up a lot. And I think Trey Sermon's going to get a lot of those reps, as I said earlier. And I think he'll overtake Mitchell to start the year. He'll be RB2 behind Mitchell. Because I haven't seen much from Ty Davis-Price. And I haven't seen much from Jeff Wilson. I think if any, I think Trey Sermon's the guy that's really stood out to me, is what I should say.
Man, I'm the one who typed this question. What's my answer going to be? I didn't type an answer yet. I'm going Jeff Wilson, Sam. I just like
That's
Jeff
fair.
Wilson. When Jeff Wilson is in the game, the dude just runs hard. Maybe he wasn't 100% last year, but Sam, this guy runs hard. And I might be biased because he was in my 7K DraftKings lineup. I think that was back in 2020 when you were talking about him. They were playing in New York. The Niners had a back-to-back New York games. Mm-hmm. And I want to say it was one of those games. He had a couple touchdowns in the second half, and he was dirt cheap on DraftKings. Boom, $7,000.
Oh, love to see that.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah,
yeah, I'd say that's probably the safe pick right now. He's the veteran. He's the guy that's got the most snaps. I think that's really the safe pick right now. And he honestly could be RB2 going into week 1. I still think it will be Sermon from what I've seen. But I think right now that's the safe bet, and I don't blame you at all for that.
No doubt. I mean, that's the thing with Shanahan and how he handles his running back room. You don't know who it's going to be. If Jordan Mason makes this team and Shanahan thinks he gives them the best chance at that time, Jordan Mason will get a shot. And if he takes the bull by the horns, it'll be Jordan Mason's job.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, I don't see Jordan Mason being on this team. Will he be on the practice squad? 100%. And the only reason I don't say he'll be on this team is because I think there are better running backs.
I mean, in that last game against the Packers, I know Mason was playing in the fourth quarter, but I mean, he had higher yards per carry than guys like Sermon or Ty Davis-Price. So we'll see. He's fighting, and I know a lot of guys are in Jordan Mason's corner pulling for that kid.
Yeah, I think I'm pulling for him too. He's had a great camp, and I think he'll definitely be on the practice squad, and he'll get a shot at some point. You never know, the injury bug could come back around, haunt the Niners again. Knock on wood that doesn't happen. But overall, I think the sky's the limit for him right now. Whether he starts on the practice squad, whether he starts on the 53, I think it'll be fine either way.
Yeah, and Sentinel says you guys think Sermon will make this team. Sentinel, you miss my man Sam's scorching hot takes. He thinks Trey Sermon can take over
RB1.
Hey,
I'm telling you.
Hey, Sam
watch
said
out
it.
For Trey Sermon.
I love it. And let's see, we got the man in here. What's up, Jesse Naylor? What's popping? Okay, and no BS. Shout out to Crypto. Yeah, hit the like button. Tell a friend to tell a friend about 49ers Fired Up, the hottest new show on YouTube.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, and you know what? My man Rohan, he's been there. Rohan, keep killing it. Make sure you're subscribed to Rohan because he's killing it with his coverage. Phenomenal. He says Sermon will make this team. Hey, last question I got for you, Sam.
Let's hear it.
Is this a Super Bowl contending team?
I think this absolutely is. And it's really because this is the deepest team in the Kyle Shanahan era. I don't think there's a single position. I think the two positions I would be a bit worried about would be safety for depth. I don't really think there's any other guys behind Ward and Hufanga. I don't trust Odom and Moore, as I talked about earlier. And quarterback, as I talked about, as I talked about earlier. I know the hype is amazing, but we really don't, I know we know what Trey Lance is, but we haven't seen it that much. We've only seen him in 2.5 games, a few training camp practices, and some preseason. That's not saying that much. And the games, I mean, Texans, Seahawks, Cardinals, I mean, that's not the best boat you want to have.
I mean,
know
the Texans
Cardinals
played tough the week before. They might have upset a team. I forget who they played.
They upset the
Texans,
Chargers. Yeah, you are right.
Yeah, they upset the Chargers the week before. So, I mean, I thought the Texans were playing all right going into that game. I thought Lance looked really good. You know, we talked about this earlier, and you like Lance. You're excited about Lance. And here's my thing on it, Sam, is if Lance can be a tick better than Jimmy Garoppolo, which I think he can be, right? He's going to have some highs and lows, but the highs are going to outweigh the lows. Sam, we were in the NFC Championship game last year. And if I think immediately Trey Lance is going to be a tick better than Jimmy, you know, and in years to come, hopefully be a lot better than Jimmy, then how can this not be a Super Bowl contender? I think This team is going to be dangerous, especially I expect this roster and Trey Lance and this team to get better as the year goes on. I don't think teams are going to want to play us come playoff time because Lance is going to, you know, we know about the limited amount of games he played in college, his experience, not a ton. This kid's going to continue to get better and better and better. And we're going to hit our stride, you know, week 16, 17, 18, going into the playoffs. And we're going to be dangerous.
Absolutely. And I will say, I think my only concern with Trey Lance, again, as I mentioned earlier, there's some inaccurate passing. There's some not reading the field. He did that pretty well against the Packers in the preseason game. And I'm not saying he's a bust, but I don't expect him to blow me away. I have expectations for him, which are pretty high, but I'm not expected to be blown away by those expectations. I think he'll meet those expectations. He'll be great. I don't think you're going to get like a 2018 Mahomes year, as I said. You're probably looking for someone just outside of a top 10 quarterback, maybe. Maybe he'll make it in, maybe he won't. Somewhere between maybe like the 5 and 15 range is my expectation.
Whoa. Yeah, somehow I got distracted. I wasn't looking at the comments. That's on me. Shout out Jesse Naylor. Let's see what he's talking about. I remember doing the Up and Comers show a year ago.
Yes, sir.
Good times. Good to see Sam back. No doubt. I had to hit Sam up. I got the new weekly show, 49ers Fired Up. I had my boy That Niner Guy on last week, and I'm like, man, second edition, I'm going to hit up my boy Sam because Sam knows his stuff, and I hadn't talked to you in a while, so I wanted to hear what you got to say. And Jesse, thanks a lot for the dono. That means a lot. Shout out to Last Second Sports. You guys are killing it over there. I was watching.
Absolutely.
Jesse had on Trey Lance's former quarterback coach on earlier. Before we went live, I'm watching that because it was a great show. I'm learning more stuff. They're talking about Trey's arm slot because I'm thinking Trey's arm angle. It drops down low sometimes. Not so much in the game that I saw versus the Packers. I didn't see that arm angle dropping down low, but in some of the practice footage coming out, especially when he's throwing it like to the right sideline, I've seen a couple shots where anyway, I'm going off the tape and what he did against the Packers, and he looked great. So I'm rolling off of that, and I'm pumped up about it. I think it's a Super Bowl contending team.
I think it is too.
Okay, this money's falling everywhere, Sam. The money is falling everywhere. Thanks to Jesse Naylor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Let me touch on
the 49ers team this year. Money.
I like it. Yeah, this Niners team is money. I'm just going to go through these comments because I was lacking for a little bit when I'm pulling up my
who brought up the right tackle is a problem? I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, where was that? There it is. Okay. Yeah. Matthew Mears. What's up, Matt?
Let's talk about this a little bit. Right tackle being the problem. I think McGlinchey right now, again, phenomenal run blocker. Pass protection's always been a bit iffy. He took a step up from 2020 and 2021. I think he'll probably – I don't know how he's going to do this year. I haven't heard much from him in camp, which usually can be a good sign because you don't want to hear – usually when you hear about an offensive lineman, it's kind of bad. But the run blocking still looks great. I know he's gotten beat on some one-on-ones, but again, he's not a pass protector. He's a run protector. And I think if for some reason it really just does not work out, like he cannot block a guy to save his life, I honestly think that Colton McKivitz has improved significantly.
He's way better than Justin Skule. I don't know what the hell Justin Skule got my boy Trey Lance.
Skule tore his ACL. I mean, Skule tore his ACL, and that kind of ended everything for him.
But dude, this was not even ACL related. Like this pass rusher just completely beat him to the inside and went untouched right into Trey Lance's lap. Like, dude,
yeah,
you gotta protect my guy. All right,
you do. Yeah, but I think McKivitz has really taken a step up from what I've seen in camp and what from others have seen in camp. I had him getting cut in 2021, and I know Shanahan actually said so. He did get cut, and it was a bit of a wake-up call for him. It motivated him to be better, and I think it worked out really well. I think McKivitz, if you really need someone to fill in, I think he can fill in. Is he starting caliber? No, but if you need someone to fill in for like an emergency, like say like McGlinchey really can't handle this, I think you can put McKivitz in. I think I like him better at left tackle. He's played right tackle in the past. Also, Daniel Brunskill can do that too. Because Daniel Brunskill played right tackle in the past.
I was thinking the same thing. I like Brunskill at tackle. I thought he was solid. So if Brendel, and I thought Brendel looked good. I think Brendel looked good, right? On that long pass to Danny Gray, the defensive line was doing a stunt. They stunted in, the D-line swapping. Man, it was a seamless Aaron Banks just pushed him right over to Brendel. They picked up the stunt like it was nothing. So
they did.
That was a really good sign.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Sam, this is coming up on the end of the show. Is there any last thoughts you want to share with the fan base? Tell them about your channel for sure, because you know your stuff. Whatever you want to shout out, now's the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So my Twitter account is at @the_Sam Corcoran. I post a lot of Niners stuff there. If you're an A's, Warriors, Syracuse guy, also make sure to follow me there. I have a YouTube channel. It's called The Corcoran Cap. We do a pod. I haven't uploaded in a minute. I'm going to upload soon. Don't worry. We'll get stuff going. I might change it up a little bit, so stay tuned for that. But I got some stuff coming for the future. Twitter right now is probably the best place you're going to get the most Sam content. So make sure to follow me there at @the_Sam Corcoran again. Yeah, that's all I really got to say. I'm really excited for the 49ers season. Eric, once again, thanks for having me on. I really had a great time. And yeah, 49ers season, we're ready for it. Let's do it.
No doubt. Sam, thanks for coming on. I had a great time. I just dropped the link. Hopefully it's clickable. I want to try something new, Sam. I'm bringing it over from Twitch. Before I started talking Niners on YouTube, I was playing Madden on Twitch years ago. And I was streaming it a little bit, right? And something in the Twitch community, you raid someone. When you're going offline, you send your viewers to go watch someone else. It's just how the community grows.
Absolutely,
I'm trying to bring that over to YouTube. So this is the first raid. So go. This is Niner Nate. We're gonna raid him. Type in baller
Another
raid.
Great follow right there.
That's what I'm saying. Niner Nate's a great follow. So we're going to go to his channel. I posted the link. Hopefully it's clickable. Go there, type in baller raid. That's what I'm about to do because we're about to go raid him. But hey, make sure you guys like and subscribe to this video. Sam's link is in the description. So hit up his YouTube channel. Follow him on Twitter. Here, let me get that Twitter handle on there one more time. There it is. Yeah, do that. Hey, Sam, nice seeing you. And I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Eric.